They not like us. The devil can't hold me wrong. Coming out the mud, coming out my sins, covered in his blood. I came a long way from being drunk off at the club. Following my passion. Faith without works is dead. I'm about that action. I had a lot of anger, now I'm working on compassion. My body like a tree, it's the seeds we be planting in that intermittent fasting. His word is the water, swimming in it like an otter. Used to bottle up my problems, now I'm laying them on the altar. They not like us, we the doers. They
Yo. Welcome. This is Luke.
My name is Tony.
And this is the Anointed Chaos Podcast. Today our podcast is going to be about pride.
Yeah. That's actually behind the camera.
Yes, indeed. That's my sister.
Wife.
We mistakenly have not brought her in or introduced her, and we've had people question, who's that voice? It's not a robot. It's not AI.
Yeah, it's not.
It's just my loud Puerto Rican sister.
And I'd like to thank Chucky Alice for the updated version, the clean version of...
That's the gospel version, yeah. If you guys, that's really good version.
Not Like Us. It's a really good version.
Kendrick Lamar, Not Like Us.
Yeah.
Just so you guys know. But yeah, today we're going to go on pride. Did you want me to say my verse first, or did you want to go with your verse?
You can say your verse, and then I'll say the Webster definition of it.
Webster, got it. Proverbs 16:18. Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall.
Yeah, so then I'll say my Bible verse too. It's Proverbs 11:2. It says, "When pride comes, then comes disgrace, but with humility comes wisdom." And the Webster definition of it is feeling of deep pleasure or satisfaction derived from one's own achievements.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so right there, that's obviously the Webster version of it is not God's version or God's will for any human being to put in their own satisfaction before his.
Most definitely. I mean, before we get into any of like our notes or anything, when you look at pride in itself, a lot of pride, I mean, my personal things, pride, it could be you're just too full of yourself.
Yeah.
Pride could be you with that self-love, like it says, self-achievements. You're more excited about things that you do. Where that's the bad part of pride. There's good part of pride when you're excited about the pride of like something that your family did or something like that. But today we're speaking on the bad examples of pride and how it can be.
Not the bad. It's just the part that keeps you away from God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So in a sense, it is.
I feel it.
It's the negative corruption sense of a person's value. So it's just like it's a derivative. Selflessness and pride go together. Selflessness is the bigger brother of pride. So, yeah, it's one of
selfishness.
Selfishness.
Whole bunch of selfish. What's going on?
But yes.
Yes. So, like we were saying with pride, I had a couple of bullet points that pretty much goes over like a couple of things with pride. Arrogance. Is the one. Believing oneself to be superior to others, dismissing others' opinions or contributions, and failing to acknowledge one's own mistakes or limitations. Me personally, that one, when you make a mistake and you don't want to say you made that mistake. It's kind of like when a kid, for example, like we both have kids. When your kid makes a mistake, but they try to lie about the mistake or they try to like go around it, and they're like, "No, we didn't do it. They did it."
Yeah.
Like, it's the failure of owning up to your own self and what you did wrong. And we've all done it.
Yeah, most definitely.
Still to this day, we all, don't, we don't say sorry. I know that's one of your examples.
Yeah, mine's is, me and my wife will have like a little inside family joke where we'll be like, say sorry. And it's because we know we're right, but then the other person will refuse. Most of the time it's me to say, "I'm sorry, wife, that you were right on whatever subject it was at that time." And I'll refuse to. I'm like, "No, I'm not saying it. I'm not."
He's 100% positive.
But yeah, it's as for me, growing up and in the sense of pride, it was Mexicans are very prideful people.
Yeah, no, I get that.
And it's on top of the Mexican heritage, and on top of being a man, it's like a double combo for me. Where it's like, no, like I'm not saying sorry. And then everything I got, it's because of me and this and that. Like me and my wife will argue all the time. We own a clothing company, and she'd be like, "Oh, I helped him design that." No, you didn't. I did that. Like I did it all myself. And then it's that sense of pride that's damaging to a relationship. In our sense, it's a marriage, and it's just damaging our walk with God. Because one, I'm damaging my relationship with my wife because it's like she's gonna feel less of herself. Like, oh, maybe I didn't help them, when in fact she really did help me. Instead of me saying, "Yes, wife, thank you for helping me with that shirt," and making her feel good about herself, the pride is like
because you're scared of in a sense belittling yourself and then raising up someone else.
Yeah, most definitely. But pride has to also do with ego in that sense.
Most definitely. That's one of my other bullet points. Stubbornness, both male and female.
Yeah.
We all have stubbornness.
Yeah, most definitely.
Stubbornness, refusing to admit when one is wrong, even in the face of clear evidence, and not being open to constructive criticism or even new ideas. Just like you were saying, in the t-shirt industry or anything with new ideas or something like that. Like we every day, whether it be work or whether it be at home, anything, we all go through. We hear criticism of certain things that we do in our life.
Yeah,
it could be anything.
Yeah.
Realistically, anything. It could be something just going to where to eat.
Yeah.
Going somewhere to eat. It could be just with what shirt you're wearing, what hat you're wearing. You get criticism of all that stuff, and then stubbornness is.
Yeah. But the pride is an ungodly attitude, and it's just something that God doesn't justify in any sense of way that it is. It's He's explained to many rich people, sell your guys' wealth, sell your guys' possessions, your earthly things, and follow me. Take up my cross with me. And a lot of them refuse it because they're so prideful in what they have, their worldly possessions. Most of them are men, so it's just that men prideness. So I don't know if it explains it, if he made Adam so prideful, but Adam was also very godly too.
I feel that for sure. Getting onto your possessiveness one.
You feel it?
I always feel it. Possessiveness is feeling overly proud of one's possession, status, or relationship. But the bad thing of with that possessiveness, it leads to jealousy, control, and materialism. So that's another thing, another form, or another manifestation of pride.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Like, I don't know how you are in your relationships, but how me in my relationship, I like to have that little control, that little power, and it makes me feel like
you're the king of the castle.
Yeah,
king of the castle.
But it's also damaging because that's where that pridefulness comes into effect. I don't know. It's just that feeling that I like it, but then I also know it's an ungodly feeling.
Exactly. It's kind of like you're putting yourself up on a
exactly
higher, and that's another thing we'll get into in another podcast. Idolatry. You're making yourself into an idol.
Yeah.
At that same point.
Your own idol.
Yeah, your own self-idolizing.
In your own head. In your own head.
So yeah, most definitely on that one. That's literally was my next bullet point. There's another one on here. I think it's conceit. An overly favorable opinion of one's abilities or worth, resulting in boastfulness and ability to recognize one's limitation.
Like being conceited.
Yeah, most definitely.
And
cocky.
Yeah. Growing up, for me, I wasn't a humble kid. And I should have been, but I wasn't. I was very cocky when it came to sports. I thought I could beat anybody. I would get into anything, basketball, football, baseball. and I would just be like, yeah, I'm gonna win, and I would play as hard as I could just to win. And I would like it says boastfulness. I would boast about it. I was a poor.
I don't know if I was that way when I wrestled in high school.
Oh my gosh, he's still that way.
Okay, I was great at what I did. Okay, let's have a conversation.
Let's break into it.
Yes, let's break into this. If this is pridefulness, I would get like butterflies and stuff like help me beat this guy. You weren't like that way. You were like, I'm gonna beat this guy. I know I'm gonna beat this guy.
Oh yeah.
Mine was like a whole different feeling. Like
every match, I would go in and I would literally tell myself, no matter what, I'm gonna beat this team and I'm gonna beat them bad, and I'm gonna prove a point.
Okay, yeah, so obviously you're talking about when you were in high school, but this grown 34-year-old man is still boasting about how he did this and won CIF this and section this and he has a flag hanging up in the gym. That's prideful. That's being prideful. That's boasting about oneself. It's been, what, 15 years?
By the way, that's his wife, guys. By the way, that's his wife. So
but at the same time, I don't think that's pridefulness. I think that's just me happy about my achievements.
Most definitely. I mean, we're all.
But wait, what was the definition? What was the definition of pride? I'm pretty sure holding on, satisfaction of your own achievements is the definition of pride.
It's getting spicy in here, guys. It's getting spicy.
We could say, what do they say? Tomato. Tomato. We won't get that. We won't get too deep into that. But we did research on this subject before we started this podcast, and we've noticed the trend of all of it was the root of pride is, in the long run, it's the low self-esteem of somebody's self-worth. Yeah, that was a deep one.
Preach it.
Yeah.
Hit you hard.
I think we're going to say it again.
Smacked you in the face.
Okay.
I think we're going to say it. Can I hear it one more time?
Someone's self-esteem and their self-worth.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a big one, because I think in the end, like that ego boost that I was telling you about, like how, like sometimes I'll tell my wife, do this and do that, and it's that ego boost. Instead of being like, oh, I'll do this and I'll help with that, it's that ego boost. And I've noticed that it stems from like my low self-esteem sometimes.
Yeah, no, I could get behind that for sure. I think we can all say we have an ego at certain times.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's just about ego though. I think, like, at least for me, like, I'm very prideful on being Puerto Rican, but I think it stems from me not being Puerto Rican enough for Puerto Ricans. Or me not speaking Spanish.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, I'm Puerto Rican and Mexican, and I'm also, some whiteness in there too. But I think the reason why I'm so prideful about being a Latina is because I'm never accepted as one.
I feel that. Yeah, I get that.
That makes sense.
No, it does make sense. I mean, I'm white, and when I tell people, like, or when I get frustrated with my last name.
But I think in the end, I think what the bigger picture is, God hasn't shown to you personally, like, you're accepted in my kingdom, you're accepted in my heart. Like, you don't need to be accepted into the Puerto Rican household.
Staple that down. Bam.
And I think that was the point of this whole podcast to start off with, was where we can talk about certain subjects but include our daily lives, like how it affects us in our daily lives. And like me and him talk almost every day, and it's just like we'll explain stuff, and it's like, and then later on I'll think about it later on in the day, like, oh, okay, that's where God could have helped me, or he did help me in certain aspects of the day. Yeah. Or I could have handled that better. And I'll catch myself more so now that I started a podcast and stuff. Even my wife, she'll be like, you got a Christian podcast, you shouldn't have acted that way.
We hear that. No, let me be real. We hear that every day. And it's just because we do dumb things.
We do.
I'm not gonna lie.
Not ungodly things, just dumb things where we don't think about or we let our anger get the best
Let's
of
be
us.
real.
So that's ungodly.
Let's be real.
So that's ungodly. Look, there's your pride again. There's your pride again.
But yeah, that's how. And I think the more we're getting into it, the more where I'm starting to see like our pride, our ego, and stuff like that. It's like starting to let go of it.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. So before we started this podcast, I kept telling my sister and I kept telling Tony, I don't know what to talk about. And it was the funniest thing. My sister's face when she looked at me. What do you mean you don't know what to talk about? You are so prideful. And I think because we're so prideful, at times, we don't want to admit it.
Oh, no.
We don't want to say that we're prideful. We don't want to, and it's hard for us to even realize that we're prideful because we're like, what are you talking about? We're not prideful. You're crazy. But like after like hearing like a lot of the stuff and like reading some of the verses and comparisons and like the examples and it's like, yo, like even when you said the root, like the self-esteem and self-worth, like
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nobody likes to admit that their esteem, that they have self-esteem issues.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't. Like my wife knows. Like I don't like talking about a lot of stuff.
Oh
like,
yeah,
a lot of.
It's a guy thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true. It's a guy thing.
Yeah.
But girls have the same problem.
Yeah, but I've noticed with opening up and honestly, the best solution to self-esteem, self-worth, pride, selfishness is to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean,
and I've noticed talking about it is a solution that helps you like think about it later on. Like, oh, okay, that's how I acted. Let me rewind and let me act this way the next time.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like for example, I don't know why this just clicked in my head. We had this worship and prayer night on Thursday, and they had us get a card and write like stuff down on that card. And not show it to anybody, but just leave it to give it in God's hands. And it's one of those things where when you grab that card, you opened up, right?
Yeah.
You opened up and you wrote on that card and you broke down about what you were writing on that card. But after you released that card back and you ended up, putting it in the box or whatever you put it in that day, it was one of those things where it was like, wow. Why couldn't I do this before?
Well, that's the thing is, yeah, most definitely. Like, I'll be honest, I used to grab those cards all the time and be like,
and draw on it? Yeah,
I'm not drawing it. What the heck?
Oh,
No,
as a kid, I ain't gonna lie. I'd be in the back of the pew just drawing on it.
I would just put whatever. Like, just shut up. Like, here, I'm going to give it to him. I want my piece of bread and my piece of juice.
Yeah.
And for some reason this time, obviously because of my family and stuff, I'm like, no, this time I'm gonna really open up.
Mm-hmm.
And when I opened up and I left it in God's hands, like it felt better. It felt like a weight lifted off my shoulder.
Yeah, I mean that whole service that night, honestly.
But which is crazy because the very first thing I wrote down on it was ego. The very first thing I wrote down on it was ego, my ego and my pride. Because I already knew we were going to talk about pride, so I know I have a bad issue with pride. And it's not like I'm not a bad husband. Well, I don't think I'm a bad husband. But mine's is in the sense of just being prideful in myself and not opening up to God and His blessings that He has for me.
Mm-hmm. I feel it.
He's not a bad husband.
You do that comment and I was waiting for it too. You feel me? I was like, it's gonna get quiet for a second real quick.
But
yeah, no, I get it. I think this one was difficult one for us for sure. It was difficult, but it was also like once we started talking about it, we could talk a little bit more. And I think for me, I was just so kind of like lost. Like I was saying earlier, I was like, what are we gonna talk about? But because there's so many different forms of pride.
Yeah, most definitely. Like I had a bunch of stories I wanted to go through, and like times where I was like being prideful.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, when I left it on that altar that day on Thursday, so it's Sunday now. It was like, I don't want to talk about none of the stories.
I get you.
And it was like, I want to talk about how I'm a better person without pride in my life.
Taking the steps in the right direction.
Yeah,
like we're saying. I mean, like we tell everybody, we're still growing. None of us here are perfect. None of us here are... We're growing with everybody out there, you know?
Yeah.
We're human.
Most
Part of the podcast is to show people that just because we're Christians or we're, following
we
Jesus.
Want to, obviously we're talking about pride right now, but like I said earlier in the podcast, I want to get to where we can talk about anything, obviously have our Christian roots, have our Christian backgrounds, bring our scriptures in to what we're talking about during the course of the podcast. But I want everybody to know, just because we're Christians, don't make it where we only listen to Christian music, where we only eat Christian places or eat only Christian coffee or whatever the situation is. Like,
That's
no,
true.
we like to go where people go. We go to concerts. We go to beaches. We go places where normal humans go.
Yeah, we don't just eat God's
We're
chicken.
not, we're not Indian.
Or God's burgers, In and Out. They're great, by the way. But we were talking about that, and our pastor was talking about that. Like, just because you're Christian, you don't have to just listen to Christian music. You don't have to
We both love Christian country music.
We love Christian music too. I didn't want y'all to think that we didn't. But yeah, no, big country music fan here. And
I don't want to feel like it's a judgmental thing where we know, and this is also included with pride, where I know in my heart Jesus lives in my heart. So I'm not going to go to hell because I died listening to Luke Combs on my way home. I don't got to listen to that Christian podcast, but listen to us. I'm not saying don't listen to us. Or Christian music on my way home, and I was saved because I was listening to Christian music on my way home. God doesn't work in those kind of ways.
No, and that's for sure a big thing. Like, people got to realize that you don't have to always be around. Like, there's that one saying, you don't always have to be around Christian people. You don't always, your whole circle doesn't have to be Christian people, because then how are you going to grow? How are you going to be a disciple? How are you going to spread the good word if you're just around Christian people? You're just spreading it to yourself and to your inner group.
Now, we're not saying it's not a bad thing to have Christian friends or Christian, surround yourself with Christian people. That's not a bad thing either, because you need those people to keep you grounded and lifted up and things like that as well. Create that sense of community. But what we're saying is we're not trying to categorize this podcast or ourselves in any kind of category. We're not doing that in a sense that we're not prideful Christians. We're not prideful Christians. We're not saying, we're so much better than anyone else. That's definitely not our goal at all.
Mm-hmm.
We're here to be transparent and to show people, hey, we're not prideful Christians. Mm-hmm. We're the same as you, and we're just trying to grow in our walk and let people know who Jesus is, how we have learned to know who Jesus is.
Correct. Yeah.
I feel that.
Most definitely. But yeah, in that sense, it's the pride is gonna be, and the Bible has explained it thoroughly, how pride has affected Christians in the Bible to lose their way throughout their walk. That's the best way to explain it.
I agree. So now that we're coming towards like the end of our podcast, we always got to do the thing. Please like, share, comment, follow, give us questions. Let us know your opinions.
We're having merch come out soon.
I feel it.
Yeah, most definitely.
But
and then also we have received some comments and questions. We will touch on those.
Yes.
Don't forget, we will touch on those. We're not forgetting anyone. We appreciate everyone's feedback.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, I feel that. And our next podcast is going to be on anger.
Yeah.
And
Anger's a big one.
Anger's a big one. That one it'll for sure be a lot more easier to talk about. But I got a lot of anger issues. So I'll probably be talking a lot on that one.
I don't know if I do. Pride talking? I feel like I'm a mellow, calm person for the majority of the time.
But when you pop off, you pop off.
Yeah.
And your pridefulness is taking over right now.
Not in that sense. I'm just saying, for the most part, I'm a calm, mellow person.
Are you sure? I mean, I can call our kids out and they can, tell the truth about when you're driving.
Okay, when I'm driving, no.
When we're driving and the car cuts you off, you just gotta start
Save
singing,
it for the next
Lord,
episode.
oh my soul.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you guys next time. Please like, share, follow, and we'll see you next podcast. I'm Luke.
I'm Tony.
Thank you.